Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Garbage Horror Out of the Can.
What is out of the can?
This is a new show. You see, it's a lot like your grandfather, highly irregular and prone to forget what it's talking about.
Sounds good. How long did it take you to come up with that?
I had the minute cue time.
Oh, okay.
Long story short, this is where we're going to stick all the weird odds and ends that we couldn't put in Garbage Horror episodes. There are going to be movie reviews like this one,
right,
where they just wouldn't fit for a regular Garbage Horror episode for
No.
whatever reason. It's also going to be stuff like our trauma talk. We're going to do one on the asylum probably. Maybe do some comparisons. Maybe some fan Q&As. Whatever the heck we come up with, we'll go out of the can.
If you want us to answer your questions, email us. That's simple.
If you want us to not answer your questions, also email us. The odds are about the same.
It's true.
Well, on this note, for our first edition of Out of the Can, we're going to talk about a movie we caught earlier this week, The Nude Vampire, a 1970 French film about nudity and vampires.
Was it French or Australian?
It was actually turned out to be French.
Okay.
Yeah, they just had the voice actors had Australian accents, so we got confused.
Oh, okay.
But long story short with this one, it's about a son, sort of a prodigal son of a very wealthy businessman who discovers that his father is keeping a woman captive and also running some kind of bizarre suicide cult.
Yeah.
In which
at a private club.
At a private club in which people are killing themselves so this woman can feed upon them, thus sparking the whole vampire talk. Yeah, the movie really shied away from using the V word.
Yes, it did. In fact, that was one of the jokes that they made was they thought maybe she was a robot.
1970s, she's a robot.
Yeah.
Smooth.
She can't go out in the daylight, drinks blood. Yep, that makes her a robot.
Robot.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's my... I mean, see, we were watching Star Trek. That's exactly the problems Data has in the show, right?
Yeah.
Commander Data. All in all, it's an interesting film. I don't want to knock it too hard.
No, it is an interesting film. The Nude Vampire is never actually fully nude.
No. It kind of wears a see-through shawl thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it does have a lot of nudity in it, to be fair.
Just not her.
But not as much as other stag. This is the 70s. This is kind of the golden era of the horror stag film we're talking about here. So there are other films that would fill that particular need a lot better if that's your cup of tea, is your horror cheesy with lots of boobs.
So why isn't this good for a garbage horror, a regular episode?
Well, it's not really a horror is part of the problem. It's more of a thriller is what it came across as.
Well, it's not even that. It's more of a study on society is what I've got out of it.
It's a very... I mean, the long story short is the son character bumps into the Nude Vampire after she breaks free from the private club briefly. And all the other minions from the club wearing the most absurd masks God ever put on this earth hunt her down and bring her back, leading him to wonder, WTF? What's going on here? And he sort of investigates, and it goes from there, and you learn, more about the vampire, more about this cult, more about who the vampire really is, how she came into it. It's sort of a learn-as-you-go type thing. But really, the plot, I didn't find that to be very important. It felt like an art house film, or maybe a student film even.
Yeah, it was beautifully shot.
Oh, yes, absolutely
all
gorgeous.
of the framing and everything was wonderful.
As far as from a technical perspective, it was beautifully shot. For a 1970s film, very bright, very colorful. Even with the era of film we're talking about, it looked very clean, very undingy. It was gorgeous to look at, had a lot of interesting props and items and great sets. But the plot was loaded with holes and non sequiturs and...
Right, and it was all to get you to the end point, which is where is humanity going and how are we going to perceive it when the next evolution gets here.
Yeah, and it's kind of got a last man on earth type thing going there.
Yeah.
Who's the real monsters here?
Right.
Who's the bad guys? Who's the good guys? You don't really know. I mean, we're not giving away the end of this actual story, but it's just... It tries to aim itself at those questions. And mind you, that those are good questions to aim at. Last Man on Earth is one of my favorite movies, and an excellent Vincent Price. Vincent Price, another Out of the Can episode coming your way.
Yes, definitely.
An excellent Vincent Price film. I'm sorry, Will Smith. I Am Legend just isn't the same. But the bottom line is, it was a good film, well shot, but the plot, the whole story, and a lot of the elements of it, it was on the WTF per minute meter. it was ranking up there with, like, you know, American Astronaut, Die You Zombie Bastards, a lot of the movies that I'm sure we're going to cover later in more detail.
Well, we will cover Die You Zombie Bastards later.
That's a planned episode for actual garbage horror.
Yeah.
But it hit that WTF meter over and over and over again, and a lot of times you just didn't flat understand what was going on.
No, and they do explain some of it later. They at least explain why everyone has to have hoods on whenever the girl's around, but they don't explain why the freaky mask.
Yeah, they don't explain adequately, at least. I think they took a stab at that, but it was very pathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a weird, bizarre movie. Not really a horror, not really a stag film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it kind of existed in this weird art house space where if you're into that type of bizarre cinema, go for it.
Yeah.
It's an excellent treat for you. But if you're looking for a popcorn munching flick where you can sit down and just watch a movie with someone, this probably isn't it. You know, you got to be in the right headspace for this type of movie, and I don't think most garbage horror fans are going to be in that headspace, quite frankly.
Probably not.
But if you're into really bizarre stuff, this is great.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
No.
I'm out of thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I think that's it for our first
Out of the Can. Well, on that note, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this was Out of the Can.